Hey guys, Happy New Year. Andy here. Felt like doing a little video today on a rainy New Year's Eve day in Los Angeles. I just got back from picking up my girlfriend from the airport. She was home with her family on the East Coast. So happy to see her. She's back and safe, and it's been a nice Christmas holiday. And you know, we're going into 2026. It's right around the corner. We're a little bit behind out here in regards to the ball dropping on the East Coast, which I'm going to watch later. It's like on a delay. Interesting little side note that I'm hearing about this. I follow a little bit of the crypto world, and that there are 589 bulbs in the 2026, ball drop little thing. And so we'll see what happens with that for any of the XRP aficionados out there. You just never know. So this is what I've been working on lately. My movie project I've talked about here. I've got like a bunch of storyboards, and I also have like a schedule, day out of days and stuff, which is a little bit the nuts and bolts of pre-planning, pre-visualizing the mission of going to shoot a movie. It's always out of sequence, usually, most of the time, so you have to like figure out which locations are closest and when you're gonna have location moves and trucks and stuff. But this has been quite a journey. Here's the script here, which I have everything numbered so I can keep it organized and stuff. It's taking some time to get it here, but one day at a time. You know, the way this year started, basically in LA anyways, LA was like on fire. It was crazy. And I was there for like when 9/11 happened in New York City. I actually had a play that was opening that day it was Tuesday. The theater usually opens on a Tuesday. It's dark on Mondays, and we had a play opening on 8th Street. We were doing the play Hurly Burly by David Rabe. And of course, woke up and the planes had hit, and I got a call from my brother telling me about it because I was up late rehearsing with my friend. And we went to the top of my friend's building on 10th and University, and we were staring at the buildings, and I watched the building fall with my own eyes, and I thought, I was like, at that moment, we like dove. We saw people sprinting down the street. It was insane. And then we ended up opening on that Friday, which is crazy because what could you do? We were stuck on the island of Manhattan, couldn't go anywhere, and it was a very connected, kind of humble rendition, I should say, of that play, because we were all kind of like just arm in arm on how are we gonna get through this. There were definitely some crazy things that happened on stage too, but that's a whole nother story. Or I could tell a little bit of it now, but the actor that was playing one of the very verbose characters in the piece, anybody that knows Hurly Burly, they talk a lot. The playwright actually uses the word rapa-ta-ta, blah, 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 because a lot of it is nonsense. But this person was, let's just say, was kind of shy and was challenging himself to work on his speech through this character, and add that 9/11 happened and the fact he was taking on such a monstrous role. He was actually drinking on stage for real. Like, his character drank, but usually would prop or substitute in like apple juice, but he had real like whiskey or something. And as the play was going on, he got looser and looser and looser, and it was really brilliant. And but he ended up like dropping like 10 pages in the third act, and then he ended up throwing up during the curtain call. That's how insane it was. But funny little sidebar. But yeah, I actually am doing a play, first play I've been doing in 20 years. That opens on January 16th of 2026 in Sherman Oaks. So that's really exciting too, just to do live theater and stuff. But you know, I kind of segued there off of the fires, and it just was crazy to start this past year like that, because it was, besides the pandemic, that was the closest I had felt to, man, this is very dangerous, you know. I was living in Sherman Oaks at the time, and I've since moved, but I know people that have lost their homes, and I have such respect and humility about having a roof over our heads. Every day is a blessing, and I've worked with a homeless ministry down in Skid Row, helping people, get fresh meals and stuff. And it's always been a calling for me for some reason. And even my script is based on it's an allegory of the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, the beggar Lazarus in the Bible. And so I've always been connected with that kind of topic. But, we're here in LA. Hopefully it's going to be safe tonight. Everything's going to be cool. And, starting the year off like that last year was not how I expected. I expected to be like shooting already. But it really is God's timing in all things, one day at a time. And I'm always trying to figure out how can I balance, like, what is my action that I need to take? What is God's will for my life today in this moment to kind of like nudge things forward, because I do believe that, like, when it really comes down to some of our dreams and our talents and gifts, they're all God-given. And it's like he gave us these things for a reason. And so I know he put this story in my heart a long time ago. And I'm an actor first. I'm a hired gun as an actor, and I've been involved in so many different things and trained over the years. And it's really one of my favorite things to do. But to write something and to tell a story about some more personal things in my life, done poetically, of course. Some of it's pretty literal, but most of it is inspired by rather than literal. But I took more time with the writing because that is a whole nother craft that I respect immensely, and the craft of acting I respect immensely. And so making sure that I honored that to be able to tell a story that honored everything I wanted to say, but also would be universal and hit a lot of the notes and colors that I want to hit and express. But with all that being said, it's like it is God's timing, because I thought we were going to January, but something took over and it was like, all right, we literally have to get safety. I had to get my kids out of the city, and my girlfriend flew back to the East Coast with her sister and nephew and stuff. And so we're coming into this new year, 2026. Things are crazy out there. Par for the course, and every day is a blessing, but I still have this, thing that I like. It's like a need to express. It's not even a want anymore. It's a need. And one thing about movies also is that I just heard yesterday on an Instagram post from Alec Baldwin. It was his post where he was saying that, like, when you put together a movie, the paraphrase was, or like if somebody else has a movie or something like that, like, to really kind of honor and respect it, because it's like it can bring a lot of jobs forward. And not just the actors, obviously the crew, director, creatives, crafty, like food, the Teamsters, like, and for those 30 days or so, or however long it is, people get to work. And there's been a lot of job loss lately in not only Los Angeles, across the world, but, specifically in entertainment. And I don't know if it is that there's this financial change. That's why I've been tracking a little bit of the crypto, that there's going to be a whole reset. I mean, I read a lot of things. It seems like it, that the way we went from, mailing letters, which we still do from here and there, but like to email. I remember at one point not even having a cell phone. I mean, I think my dad had like the first cell phone back in the day, and it was like a VCR with like a cord, and but I even resisted on getting an email. And now it's like, I'm so used to it. It's like I could message anybody across the world instantly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this new year with the financial system and the blockchain and all that. If the financial system is going to shift into something that really is contemporary and a lot quicker. So like settlements don't take 3-4 days if it's like overseas or whatever, but can happen in 3-4 seconds. So that'll be interesting. And then, I just encourage everybody out there, obviously, to be safe. And I know it's tough times for everyone. So just to try and just really think, and I say this for myself, and like, what am I thankful for today? Thankful for my car. I was able to drive in the rain all the way to LAX and pick up my lady who I hadn't seen in a couple weeks. Thankful for my teeth. I could brush my teeth this morning. This is just what's going to my mind. Um, I'm thankful for the downtime to really focus on getting stuff like this together. I know I kind of just showed it a little bit, but there are some really nice images in here that I was able to get together, and I have it in my head so much, but just to help other people really visualize what this thing can look like. And and I'm really kind of like a Swiss Army knife on it. Like whatever needs to get done, I get it done. Not obviously just the writing, but I wrote it as a vehicle to act in. And I remember being on the set of Knockaround Guys, and Vin Diesel, who's in the movie, had just done Pitch Black, and he showed us the trailer in his hotel room, and it was before Fast and the Furious. I think he went and filmed that after. And he told me about this film that he did, Multifacial, that he wrote and acted in, and I think maybe it screened at Slam Dance or something like that, and Spielberg saw it and then ended up writing him a role in Saving Private Ryan, which is really how Vin got his start. And then, of course, Fast and the Furious blew up and all that stuff, and his talent, and just his unique expressions and multicultural take on humanity, and his charisma, of course. But it really inspired me. And I thought about that because I had resisted writing for a long time, and then I had gone to Villanova University because my dad, I knew about the school from the Big East because I'm from Syracuse, and basketball would play them all the time, and I knew about Raleigh Massimino and when they beat Georgetown and that crazy underdog game. And I had a friend down the street whose brother went there, so I think I had a T-shirt from them. But my dad, I think I saw Rocky 2 first before Rocky 1, but my dad showed me the Rockies, and when we went down to visit the school, and I saw those steps, those iconic Rocky steps, of that beautiful moment of the underdog spirit through Rocky, through Sly's script and story and everything, was so inspiring. But then, I was 17 years old. What did I know? So I just went there, and, to then later, years later, have success in this industry, but still feel like there was a part of me that I wasn't able to express yet, and connect with and really share who I am, and done in a way that, like, obviously can entertain and tell a story and all that. But I've looked to somebody like him so many times because he went through everything to get, against all odds. Like the story, they didn't want him to be in the role. He was down to nothing and had written it in, a little studio apartment in the valley somewhere. And so, yeah, I just didn't know all those connections in the sense of, here I am, an Italian-American actor trying to do the same thing, and of just creating one's own story to get out there. So my point is, it's like I encourage any artist out there, any human for that matter, if there's something inside you that you want to get out or need to get out, just start at it one day at a time, a little bit every day, or a lot if you can. And maybe that is the call to action for this new year in this crazy time. I do believe that every single one of us is a piece of the puzzle. And I've heard the term like self-centered fear is a bad thing because I was like, well, if it's fear, how can it be self-centered? Because it's kind of like focusing on one's own concerns. And it's self-centered in the sense is that if that's blocking me from sharing what God's given me, then I'm actually blocking you from you receiving it, and vice versa. Like there's something about your verse in this world that when you share it and are visible with it and talk about it and film it or write it or create it, we get to see it, and then something's going to help us on our journey. And so it really is about connection and community and all that. So that would be a great, gratitude, a one day at a time, going for that thing that exists inside of us and expressing it and sharing it is a way that I want to enter the new year. And of course I have the dream to make this and doing the practical things to get it done. But, hopefully there's not going to be anything kooky out there that happens. I will probably be laying low with either my lady or the family, or just like keeping it real chill. But, yeah, I'm here if anybody needs anything. Any questions, put it in the comments, or if there's anything you want me to talk about. Like I said, I'm Andy. I'm an actor, obviously a screenwriter, storyteller, a man of faith, family man. I'm a father. And I just want to not be hiding out too much as I'm in between projects and talk a little bit. But I send you a bunch of love, a lot of happiness, a lot of safety and good times as much as possible. And for all the adversity out there, surrender that. We all need to surrender that suffering up with God, Christ. And I think graces can come from that, of just like shifting it towards the cross is what I do. But pushing it towards the cross and just being like, this burden is too heavy for me. Lighten my yoke, put it on his yoke, on his shoulders. So happy New Year. I might have been all over the place, but this is just where I'm at. I wanted to just film something. I felt like I've been doing a lot of stuff for Instagram and, acting stuff and this and that, but this is like me just, also utilizing the wonderful tool of YouTube and just being real raw and authentic and exactly where I'm at. I also just had some Chinese food that Brie got me that was really good, but I also want to start eating clean in the new year so I can feel great. And, body is the temple. So God bless, happy New Year, happy 2026, and I'll see you next year. Dad jokes. Lots of love.